All right, we are going to go ahead and get started with this slideshow. In essence, this is called the Feel Great System. It's a natural nutraceutical that has zero side effects. Basically, think about if you have different symptoms or something's going on within your body, it wasn't genetic, you weren't born with it, then something tells us that that symptom came up later in life. And I'm going to explain to you in just a few short slides of how that happens. 93% of Americans today are struggling with some of these issues. Now, this is not an exhaustive list, but as you can see on the left here, insulin resistance is the precursor. It is the root cause. It causes things like type 2 diabetes, the C word, PCOS in women, ED in men, neuropathy, obesity, non-alcoholic fatty liver, heart disease, high blood pressure, Alzheimer's and dementia, migraines. Over on the right here, you can see there's even more. Constant urination at night. You don't know how many people come to me with just that problem alone. Frequent hunger, tired after eating, craving carbs, constant fatigue, high blood pressure, cholesterol, fatty liver, cysts, skin tags, dark skin folds. The list goes on. If you've never known why something popped up, it's because you have high levels of insulin floating around in your body, but your doctors are not testing for high levels of insulin. Now, how did we get here? How did our cells become insulin resistant? The food companies stripped the fiber from the food in the 1960s. By the 1980s, type 2 diabetes and Alzheimer's had skyrocketed. This is the eating plan. We are having coffee, carbs, sugar in our coffee, energy drinks, pop, right away when we wake up in the morning, which causes a glucose spike. A couple hours later, we crash. We grab a snack, blow out our blood glucose, crash again by lunch, blow up our glucose, snack again by 2, blow up our blood glucose. You can see that this continues all day long. Insulin is a much needed hormone, but it's also a fat storage hormone. Insulin takes hours to come back down. It's also a 1-to-1 ratio. So the longer we keep our glucose elevated, pancreas has to make enough insulin to try to pull that glucose out of the bloodstream. Our blood can only have a teaspoon of sugar in it at all times. Anything more is toxic. So if we are eating, causing those glucose spikes, insulin has to be released, and pretty soon the cells will become deaf to the insulin. That is when you start getting the glucose numbers, the A1C numbers that your doctor doesn't like to see. The problem is your doctor isn't testing for insulin resistance, which happens 10 to 20 years before those glucose and A1C numbers show up on your labs. Now down here on the left, you can see that this apple has the fiber. It's wrapped in fiber. Every carbohydrate is typically wrapped in fiber. The food companies removed it. So this apple here would cause less of a glucose spike than this apple juice because the fiber has been removed. Same thing with this rice. The bran has been removed, which leaves you with a sugar bowl of diabetes. This cup of apple juice, this is a cup of diabetes. Now, what do we do with that? Well, we have to add the nutrients back into the food. How many of you can agree that the food is not as nutrient dense as it once was? So what we do is we use a natural nutraceutical, zero side effects. It works better than metformin, statins, and blood pressure regulating medication. Zero side effects, a 90-day money back guarantee with a 1% return rate. That's how incredible and effective this is. So what we do is we take a soluble and insoluble fiber before one of our heaviest meals each day. This fiber matrix is clinically proven to blunt that blood post-meal spike by up to 43%. And if you eat your food in this order, fiber, fat, protein, carbs last, you can actually effectively blunt that blood glucose spike by up to 75%. This specific fiber here is not a one single source fiber like Metamucil or psyllium husk. This is going to help curb the appetite between your 2 meals. It's going to aid in reducing the amount of dietary cholesterol that's absorbed in your bloodstream. It's going to help reduce carbohydrate absorption in the body, support natural, healthy blood glucose levels, so it keeps it steady rather than spike, crash, supports healthy weight management, and supports time-based eating and other intermittent fasting. So We typically eat breakfast at 11, 12, or 1. We skip that morning because that's when our body is going into fat burning mode, unless we shut off fat burning by eating something or drinking something sugary. This fiber matrix here is going to feed the gut microbiome. We want about 50% good bacteria, 50% bad. Most of us today, 93% of Americans, have an overpopulation of bad. The only way to feed the good guys is to bring fiber back. And the food is pretty much fiberless these days. That's why we add this back in. It helps with things like IBS. My husband, that's the very reason he started this. His IBS is nearly non-existent 90 days later. Constipation. That's something I dealt with my whole life. And after about 10 months, I finally feel like I'm going to the bathroom regularly after 40 years. Diarrhea. Skin. Did you know that your skin is the largest organ? And so if you're having skin tags, that means you've been insulin resistant for a decade. If you have things like eczema, psoriasis, it's trying to detox from your gut. Anxiety and depression. The cool thing about this is that because you're feeding your gut microbiome, the hormone serotonin that's produced 90% in the gut can actually be produced again, and that's going to stabilize your mood. This has also been studied by the University of Sydney, home of the glycemic index, and also the Cleveland Clinic, the #1 heart hospital here in America. And they actually did a study that says if this fiber product here, this specific one, is taken regularly, it can reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially decrease the need for lipid-lowering prescription drugs. Clinical studies on this. Now, fast. If you guys are addicted to food like my family and I were, we drink this chlorogenic acid tea. This actually helps your body produce its own GLP-1 by up to 70%. This stabilizes your blood glucose. We have type 1 diabetics using this so that they don't go too low or too high. They're able to stabilize. And when we stabilize glucose, we are in turn stabilizing insulin, in turn stabilizing inflammation and supporting the environment for our organs and everything else in our body. Now, this tea supports feelings of well-being. It supports healthy cognitive process, so brain fog, natural energy. It helps to maintain endurance and stamina. We have a lot of people who work out who are healthy who use this. There was a guy who was doing marathons and he increased in 90 days his very own marathon time by 20 minutes. So this isn't just for people who are unhealthy. Metabolic health is for everyone. It promotes satiety. So if you're constantly thinking about food or snacks or having a little bit here, a little bit there, this gets rid of that. It supports weight management and it promotes the body's ketone production. Ketones are needed for every energy source within our body. So this is what we're doing. We're using the tea and the fiber each day. And this is how our day looks. A day in the life of this simple system. It's simple enough a 5-year-old can do it. And this is also why it's long-term sustainable. We wake up in the morning and instead of eating, we're going to mix up a tea for breakfast. This allows our body to start burning its own love handles for breakfast. If we eat food or sugary drinks, we literally turn off what our body was about to start doing, which is burning stored energy, aka fat. We break our fast around lunchtime. Now, if you have a fiber before that, you can see just how much less that glucose rose versus having lunch without it. This is how much it stabilizes that blood glucose spike post-meal. Now, immediately after lunch, we're mixing another tea. We're not having snacks. We're sipping on our second tea until dinner time. Before dinner, you'll either have one fiber a day. You'll choose it to either have it at lunch or dinner, or if you're like my family and myself, we order extra fiber. We put a fiber in front of 2 meals per day. Again, you can see that post-meal glucose spike was blunted quite a bit. And this is how we bring down glucose, inflammation, high levels of insulin in our body. So instead of spiking all day long, like we did here in slide number 2, spike, spike, spike 8 times a day. The average American is eating 11 times a day. We are only having a glucose rise 2 times a day. This is massive impact for metabolic health. Here's a couple of testimonies. Now, this is just a few. We see hundreds of testimonies every single day. This one here used to have gout. His A1C was 13.8. He dropped down to a 5.9 and is down 89 pounds. He's off of all of his diabetes medications. He does not have gout. He's nearly got down 90 pounds. His energy and mobility is like he hasn't had in 15 years. My husband and I can both attest to that at 40. We feel better at 40 than we did in our 20s. This gal here says that she lowered her cholesterol by 76 points. Her triglycerides dropped 120. Lowered blood pressure, no longer has sleep apnea, and she's off of all of her medications. This one here is down 50. A1C went from 7.9 down to a 5.4. Insulin resistance went from a 5.6 to a 1.5. That's incredible. He went from a 4XL shirt down to an XL, and 11 medications a day down to 2. No more IBS, no more foot neuropathy pain. Blood pressure and cholesterol lowered. And last but not least, she's down 63 pounds. She's no longer a pre-diabetic. Inflammation gone, joint pain gone, vertigo gone. Skin has cleared up, has energy all day, no longer needs naps, and sleeps deeply at night. Most importantly, her confidence is back. So if you have been struggling and you're not sure what the root cause is and you need some answers, we have the solution. All you have to do is reach out to the person that showed you this and ask where they got the link.